Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters and viewers of IQRA TV. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host Iqbal Bana, transmitting live today from Bradford Studios that we have in the north of England. Thank you for joining us. Today I want to talk about something really positive that happened in the city of Bradford just a few weeks ago. I'm sure many of you will have heard, you have seen it on your TV screens, in newspapers, in magazines. On the 15th of January, Bradford was honoured by a visit by the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. And for those who don't know the royal titles, that means Prince William and his good lady Kate, who came to Bradford to visit the people of Bradford and to particularly focus around the Muslim Pakistani community, having just come back from a trip to Pakistan. And that, even Allah on that day blessed Bradford, because the day before it was absolutely miserable. It was windy, it was raining, it was everything you could think of had happened. And on the day of the visit, it was an absolutely fabulous day, and the day after again it was like typical winter time. So this visit happened on the 15th of January, and they came to Bradford, as I say, with a particular focus on the Muslim and the Pakistani community that makes up the fabric of Bradford. Bradford has one of the largest Muslim Pakistani communities in the country, and this visit actually put a real focus on how that community has become part of the fabric of the bricks and mortars of the city of Bradford. How the Muslim community and the Pakistani community have made Bradford what it is at the moment. And the royal couple actually shone a light on the integration, the cohesion, the work that was happening in Bradford that brings communities together. So today I want to focus on that and celebrate the success of the visit that has focused on Bradford and the people of Bradford. And to celebrate with me, I have one of those people who was very actively involved in organizing that visit and welcoming the royal couple to their centre, which is the Kismet Centre. And she's no stranger to the viewers of IQRA TV and Real Talk. She has been on my program before, but on a very different subject, very serious subject of Muslim women prisoners and how they have fared not just in the criminal justice system, but what happens to them when they're rehabilitated and when they come out. And we've spoken in length on that. So Sophie, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program again. Nice to see you. You were at the heart of this visit. You were the person who welcomed them at the Kismet Centre with your other colleague Ishtiaq, who's also familiar to these people. How did you feel when you first met them?
I think we'd spent so many months and so many days preparing that it was very surreal actually. When we met them, it was so surreal, and because we tried to involve the whole community. It wasn't just about Kismet Centre, it's about everyone. And so when we met them, the crowds were shouting and the toll was going outside, and it was a very surreal feeling of, wow, they're finally here, all this preparation.
So how long have you been working behind the scenes getting all this?
I think it's been months and months, to be honest. So these conversations started the back end of last year. But there was so much going on in the interim. As you know, we had Brexit, we had other things coming and going. So it was very much start, stop. We might be, we might not be. Oh, the time isn't right yet. So it'd been something that we were looking at for months and months and going through the process. And then very suddenly, in January.
Suddenly it happened.
Suddenly it happened, and it was like, we're coming and this is the date.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I think they really, I saw the images and the pictures, etc.
Yeah.
And I certainly saw Prince William approaching the Dolak person, and it was a multicultural, multi-faith sort of invitation that you had.
Yes.
The Dolak people who did the drumming were Sikh members of the Sikh community.
Yes.
There was others people there as well. You can see the images on our TV program. This is Prince William coming into the Kismet Centre, and obviously his wife met all the crowds. I mean, for you, this is a major coup, wasn't it?
It
I mean, you've been working, the Kismet Centre has been there for many, many years.
It has, yeah.
And for you, this must have been something unique, something that must have given you a real uplift to be recognised by the royal couple for the work that you do.
Oh, definitely. I think as a centre, we're open 7 days a week. which, you know, for some community centres is quite unusual. A lot of people do take at least Sunday and they shut down their centre. But, you know, we're a centre that's open 7 days a week. We provide multiple services to people that are very disadvantaged, actually. People with learning disabilities, as you've said, Muslim women prisoners on release. We work with elderly people who can be quite often isolated because either they don't have a partner or their children have gone off and they're working far away. Young children we have. So we're a real community hub. As as much as it's
definitely.
about the community centres, it's about the people that deliver their services in the centre.
Yeah.
So as you know, we really actively involved the local jiu-jitsu club. We actively involved Horton School and Grange School. So the primary schools that are next door to us.
Yeah, they're they're neighbours, aren't they?
Yeah, neighbours. And it was so important because also those neighbours, as much as they're neighbours, they also use our sports hall 5 days a week. So they're very active service users. So it's about how do you take an entire community along on the journey with you?
And how easy was that? Or was that very difficult?
Oh, it wasn't.
I mean, you must be getting a lot of people saying, can I come there, can I come there?
Yes.
Can I be part, in the audience or whatever it is? So how did you manage that?
I think the people that were disclosed, the Royal House put out a statement and the Palace did, and I think it was ourselves and also City Hall. That was the two locations that were disclosed. And then after that, our phones didn't stop ringing. So there was a real sense of
Did you get any
disbelief.
sleep before, when it was publicly announced?
No, not then. I mean, I was nervous and anxious by the point I got told they'd be here on this day. And after that, we didn't have any sleep at all. So there was definitely late night working.
Did you discover some relatives that you didn't know
Oh
you
yes,
had before?
definitely. And friends I didn't know I had. And please, can you get me in? And actually, it was overwhelming. It was really overwhelming because people... First, we'd have, just people walk in from the public saying, is it true? Are they coming? Are they really coming? A very real sense of disbelief and surrealness set in the community, definitely.
Right. And I mean, how did you find the couple themselves? I mean, you had more chance and more interaction with them than many other people, obviously.
Of course,
because you were taking them around the centre.
Yeah.
I mean, on the images that we've seen, they seem very friendly, very down to earth. None of this royal, upper lip. And that's how you found them, I presume?
Absolutely. So very, very personable, so warm.
Right.
And people that took a genuine interest in the work. So as you know, the projects that Kidmet Centre
they explored, different work that is going on.
They did,
as you can see on the images. They met children there from the Better Start Bradford programme.
Yes.
They met people from the New Neighbours programme, and the work that you do within your own centre as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, the centre was obviously packed out, and I remember sort of seeing these images, and people just could not get enough of them. I mean, did you find that in the past, the royals sort of were standoffish, they stayed slightly away, but they seem to mingle with the crowd, didn't they?
Yeah, I think every royal has their own sense of projection and how they would, and I've been fortunate enough in the past to meet Princess Anne as well, who's very sort of dignified and very, maybe not as relaxed as this pair were. They really wanted to be hands-on, involved. I know that there was some banter as well, even when they walked in and they saw the cake that, one of Our Lady Sima had made for them very kindly.
Oh, they were blown away by that.
Oh, they were blown away, but they said...
Yeah, I mean, there's the picture.
Oh, wonderful.
I mean, Prince William was saying, is that me or is that my daughter?
Yes,
he couldn't even tell the difference.
He was confused,
yes.
by the frames. But also, he walked in and he said, there's a real theme of cake in Bradford, so I think he must have eaten some cake before he got to us, but there was a very real humour that was there, and I know he was joking with our Auntie G's group, so a lot of the Auntie G's had crocheted some items for the royal children, and once he came in he'd said that has anybody got any gossip for me, because it was all a women's group, and we were thinking, well, how long have you got, William? We've got plenty of gossip here, but very, very extremely interactive, extremely personable.
In terms of our community, which is sometimes seen to be insular, right, that we're not sort of very willing to open ourselves up. How do you think the community felt by their visit, coming into the heart of our community? Did they give them a sense of real worth, that they're being recognised for being part of the British community and society, and that their visit made them feel that they were part of UK PLC in a way?
100%. I think there was a real sense of pride and a real sense of our welcome should be a real Desi welcome. And I remember people, after they found out, throwing ideas. Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? And the whole idea is around the doles going. And quite historically, the doles in Pakistan and India signify arrivals and celebrations, and they're here. That was quite significant. The throwing of the flowers.
Yes.
The people coming out in their droves.
Well, there were hundreds of people there, weren't there?
If anything, somebody had turned around and said, well, actually, there was more people at Kidmet Centres than there was at City Hall.
I think there were. I think you had all the school children came in from the two schools.
Yeah.
And from when I saw the images, and I thought, my goodness, I didn't expect so many people to be there.
Yeah.
And there were all these people, and they waited in the rain because did rain for a little while.
Rain. Yeah, and it was cold. It was bitterly cold, but people waited and they arrived early. But that was a whole sense of pride. And you know, for a lot of these young children, it might be the only time in their lifetime that they actually see the royals. And that's why we made a conscious effort to approach the schools, to invite the schools, to make sure they were involved from the offset, just to inspire that future generation and say, look. You know, we're not above a royal visit. You know, we're just as good as anyone else. So
when you first heard that there was a possibility of a royal visit, you know, did you believe, and how do you respond to that? How do you feel about that? Do you feel, oh my God, are we going to really pull this off, or you know, are we worthy of it, or do you think, yeah, we deserve it?
I think there's some exceptional work that goes on in Bradford. And being somebody that operates at a national level and having to travel down to London a lot, unfortunately, I hear more negative about Bradford than positive, whether it's those very negative reviews that have happened about Bradford being segregated or regressive or polarised. And as somebody that doesn't live in Bradford but works in Bradford, that was really something that was conflicting with my real experiences of Bradford. So I was like, no, Bradford deserves this. There's some exceptional work that goes on here. We work above and beyond as community development workers. And why not showcase the best of Bradford?
And do you think that the visit did that for people of Bradford?
I think it did. Still now, you know, weeks and weeks on, there's a real uplift in Bradford, and you know, there's a real sense of people being still quite joyous, and the feel-good factor is there. It's really there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for you as the Kismet Centre, this was a major coup, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I know it's something that not many community centres get the opportunity, and I mean, they are going to be, hopefully at one stage, the king and queen of this country.
You
know, once you know the Queen is no longer with us, or Prince Charles, you know, they will be taking on the responsibility of the royal family. So do you think they enjoyed the visit as much as you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I think from the feedback that we've had, because you know, we've had a letter back from themselves as well as a really lovely, touching letter that pointed towards certain things, and they've just said how much they loved the dole drumming, how much they loved certain conversations around mental health and meeting people from diverse communities. And we were already quite aware that they thoroughly enjoyed their trip to Pakistan. And this was something I'd read in Hello magazine when they were there. And so when we were thinking of ideas of how do we project a community, and as you rightly said, sometimes royals can be quite arm's length and very serious, but we thought, well, why not go all out? You know, it's once in a lifetime that they're coming to Bradford. We really need to give them a big welcome and go all out, so including doles and red carpets and
I
cakes.
remember, because when I got to the centre, one of the senior members of the royal family's office staff said, I've never been anywhere where they've got a cherry picker to decorate the centre. I mean, you decorated the centre outside. You know, it's unbelievable, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you had this, you had the British colours, the Union Jack colours, as well as the Pakistani colours, and that was really amazing, wasn't it?
Again, I think it was a community stepping forward. So I know our friends at Jalva Weddings were, you know, really good in stepping forward and sponsoring some of the decor and saying, look, we might not be able to be there on the day, but these are the decorations, run with it. So we were able to, you know, decorate with flowers, get our red carpets out, and then the flags was something that our volunteers and children helped us put around, you know, the gates, and just made it a real visible welcome.
And that buzz from that day, as you say, is still affecting the community, isn't it?
Of course,
I mean, going forward, as you said, there's a lot of negativity out there about Bradford, and sometimes it's the people of Bradford themselves who are about negative, you know, about image of Bradford. You know, do you think that this hopefully has changed people's minds? I mean, like you say, the visit has appeared in Hello magazine, OK magazine, and several other magazines as well. It's been seen in Pakistan, I was told, for a week and a half after that it was being run on the TV programs there about their visit to Bradford and the Pakistani Muslim community. And does that resonate with you as well?
Yeah, I think there is a real sense of pride both here in Bradford and Pakistan. So my manager that was, you know, another lead person on this, Ishtiaq, just returned from Pakistan yesterday, and he was saying his experience in Pakistan was the fact that people are still talking about the visit when the royals went to Bradford.
Right.
He said they're still talking about that weeks and weeks on, and that very real sense of, wow, you know, that people are really valuing themselves and their communities and what they have to offer. And I think that resonates in Bradford as well.
I mean, Ishtiaq is, you know, Sophie has mentioned Ishtiaq. Ishtiaq is again no stranger to this program. He's been here on several occasions. He was the colleague of Sophie who was jointly involved in organizing this visit to Kismet Center, and hopefully in the next few weeks he'll be joining me again, because this whole thing about the royal visit, I understand it, was to try and change this image of Bradford, not just within but outside as well.
Yeah.
So you're saying in Pakistan people have seen this and sort of they've got a better sort of image and understanding of Bradford because the royal stamp of approval has been given. What about amongst young people? I mean, there were a lot of young people there, like you said, there was a lot of kids. There was also lots of senior people there as well. You know, you wouldn't expect elderly people to be there, but I got this feeling that they had a bit of a buzz out of it as well.
Yeah, I think everybody did. There was, you know, there was a real sense of self-worth, not just for individuals but also for the local community and Bradford as a whole. Definitely.
I mean, you can see that, you know, the walkabout and, you know, meeting and mingling with people. And I remember, you know, somebody was saying to me that people just could not get it. And one of the things I noticed was they were taking selfies.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, in the past sort of royals, you got no chance
it wasn't
of taking
allowed, was it?
Exactly, you had no chance of. So obviously they were very relaxed.
Yeah.
They also looked, you know, there were three aspects to your visit, wasn't there? There's the work that the Kismet Center does.
Yes.
Then the Better Start Bradford work, you know, with young people and parents, etc. And there was the Near Neighbours program.
Yeah.
You know, so they visited 3 different projects within, you know, the Kismet Center, and that shows, you know, how widely the Kismet Center is actually used. It's a real community organization.
Yeah.
But going forward, where do you think it now puts the Kismet Center? Does it put it at the top of the, you know, all the community services that you have? Because you've got the royal stamp of approval in a way, haven't you?
Yeah, I think for us, if I'm honest, Iqbal, myself and Ishtiaq had this discussion, and it meant a lot to us that the royals were just coming to Bradford. And personally, it could have been anywhere, any community centre that they went to, and we would have been extremely proud of the fact that they were coming to the city where we're based. So for us, we're just extremely fortunate. You're right, it was a real coup. We were extremely fortunate. We'll continue our day-to-day service. Hopefully, we'll expand some of our services. But it's a legacy, isn't it?
Oh,
it's a
definitely.
real legacy. It's something that our elders, because a lot of our elders were there on the day, and especially our young people will remember for many, many years to come.
Oh, I'm sure there's no doubt about it. Especially some of the children that I saw who are lining up, you know, on both sides of the barriers. I'm sure they'll remember it forever.
And they made some really nice bunting as well that we put up in the centre, and they wrote personal messages, you know, to William and Kate. You know, thank you for coming to Bradford. Thank you for choosing us. And yes, so inside the building was handmade bunting by the young people. And some absolutely wonderful messages. And so that was. As a centre, I think, as I said, the real pressure was involving everybody and taking everybody on that journey with us, because it would have been easy to sort of miss this in the blink of an eye. And it could have very easily become something that was just done at Khidmat centres, but not involved.
I mean, obviously, as I say, you know, this was a major feat for you, and how you pulled it off is amazing. And I mean, everybody's seen these images around the world. You know, their visit there, and like you say, hundreds of people turned up, which I didn't expect that to happen. And I thought, you know, City Square will have hundreds of people, but there were quite a lot of people there. But your centre had attracted even more people. But in terms of, you know, the people who were there, for example, the young lady who made the cakes. I mean, she just completely blew them away. And if I remember correctly, Her Royal Highness asked if she could take the cakes with her.
So some of them. Correct.
And I understand that she actually packed them up and took them with her.
The top tier of the cake was theirs, and also the buns with the photo frames on them.
They were, as I say, you know, they were looking at it as soon as they walked in, and they couldn't believe what she's done. And I mean, this young lady has said she had worked for 3 days.
It was just astounding what
making
she
the cakes, you know, and they were completely flabbergasted. And I'm assuming that she'll probably get a letter as well from the royal couple.
Yes, she has.
Oh, has she?
So she's made contact already. She has.
All right.
Yeah, she's had a wonderful letter,
Right.
and I think she's had a special invite somewhere as well. So that will be
Oh,
disclosed
wow.
in the next few months. But she's had a very special invite.
Oh, wow.
And just was so thankful. And I think for me as a Muslim woman, a lot of this visit was about showcasing the best of what women in the community have to offer as well.
Yes, I noticed in the images and around the centre there were more women engaged
yes.
in the work, in the royal visit itself on the
Yeah.
day than there
Yeah.
were men.
And in quite all honesty, all the projects that Khidmat Centre showcased were women's projects. So there was the Learning Disability Project, which is largely for women. We had the Auntie G's Crochet Knitting Club, who made some
So what did they make for the children, do you know?
So yeah, they made a hat
Right.
and 2 scarves as well. So
Oh, I
they were
see.
they were in a box, and they were
Right.
really displayed with the children's names on them.
All right.
And they had a real conversation with Kate about, you know, knitting and crochet, and she was saying she's struggling to do some, but she gives it a try.
Right, yeah.
And also then the Muslim Women in Prison project, which is the
one
project
that
that I
you
lead on.
yeah.
And again, extremely dignified and, you know, open-minded of the royals
Right.
to have a conversation with Muslim women, ex-prisoners, around rehabilitation, coming back to the community, the cultural barriers that they'd face. And they're the very real community issues and challenges that we have here in Bradford.
And I mean, they also wanted to hear the challenges faced by, you know, young people
Yeah.
in terms of, you know, opportunities for employment, education, etc. Did they get to hear all that?
Yeah, so they got to hear a little bit of that at our centre as well as City Hall as
Yes,
well, who had a focus
yeah.
group of young people. But I think, yeah, young people were able to put across some of the challenges, whether that's in terms of, you know, life opportunities or lack of poverty, unemployment, you know, the very real social economic challenges that we as a city face.
And obviously, in that case, you know, obviously, how he responded to it, one of the things I think he was, you know, really keen to see was opportunities for young people. And I understand that, you know, when he went to My Lahore,
Yeah.
that was one of the things that My Lahore and the college signed up,
Yeah.
which is creating opportunities for employment,
Apprenticeships.
apprenticeships for young people, you know, in the hospitality industry. I mean, in terms of the voluntary sector, which is, you know, where you are, how did he understand the challenges you face, and did he respond to any of those challenges?
So we didn't touch on any challenges in terms of funding, but we did touch on some very real issues, stigma and
Right.
services. So as you know, we, even within South Asian communities, sometimes having a learning disability service or having an ex-prisoners service can be quite stigmatized and very difficult to move on. So we did touch on those subjects. You know, it's very difficult for organisations to outward face and say this is something that we're working on. And I know he did have some very real conversations with our group, with the prisoners group, about how are you responded to by the local community,
Right.
what are some of the cultural challenges, and what about the wider context in which you sit.
So obviously they're quite knowledgeable about some of these issues as well.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. They'd clearly done their homework before they got
Did
to
they?
us. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So they were aware of some of the work that you
They
were
were
doing.
aware of some of the work.
So
that
they're
we were
prepared to
doing.
ask challenging questions.
Challenging
then.
questions to us as well. Yeah,
Were they?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, the after effect, you know,
Yeah.
of the visit, the people who were there on the day,
Yes.
the people who use your centre, who were present on the day, how do they feel? Do they still feel, you know, that they can't believe what's happened,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that they, you know, that they feel that this is something unique?
There's still a big smile on people's faces, and I know one of the ladies that was in the crowd on the day came to see me today,
Right.
and you know,
Yeah.
we had a very real, you know, she was like, it's so surreal, you know, I still can't believe that happened, and it was over in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm sure, you know, this has been a unique occasion for you and the people of Bradford, particularly the Muslim community of Pakistani community of Bradford. We're going for a break now. Inshallah, we'll come back very soon. We'll talk more about this visit that took place on the 15th. And inshallah, hopefully, if my other guest is here, he'll be joining us, and that is Chief Operating Officer of My Lahore. He's stuck on the motorway coming back from Manchester. So don't go away. Inshallah, we'll see you soon. Take care of yourself. Make a tea, coffee, whatever it is. Don't go back. Something important to hear about. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.